Obviously, in the time since we've last spoken, and kind of as predicted, I'm being a bit smug about this because I did write some editors' chairs to say there would be a lot more money coming into the industry. Trainers were doing a lot better. What's the feedback you're getting?
It's been brilliant for them, Floyd. I mean, I know some of my ex-colleagues at Nottingham now, that their checks are phenomenal compared to what they were. And, you know, I think they do. And I think some of these trainers at some of these art tracks, they do have to thank the likes of Anna Thompson. You know, she went on the record saying she couldn't make it pay. She left the industry, went into another sport. Obviously, then I left. And I think it was a massive wake-up call. You know, Nottingham was like Arts Premier track. That's where their boss, Rachel Cordon's obviously attached to. And for her to lose two of her biggest assets, I think it must have been a massive wake-up call. And, you know, I think the other trainers need to thank Anna for, you know, she's took the plunge, left, I obviously moved, and I think that's real rewards to them. Whether it would have come if we hadn't gone, I'm not so sure. I've no doubt their bosses will turn around and go, oh, well, they would have done. But, well, why didn't it come a long time ago? The money's obviously been there, you know, put in pocket. And I just hope now also as well that it's not just the trainers what they thought they were going to lose. You know, there's other staff at these tracks, which may be on minimum wage, or, you know, I've always thought racing officers, you know, anybody who's dealing in a position where you're dealing with money really and stuff really, and, you know, you want to cut out any of that chance where people are thinking, well, I'm not earning a lot, I can make myself some money here. You know, them racing officers, they're good lads. And I mean, I know my ex-boss at Nottingham, Peter Robertson, I had a hell of a lot of respect for him. He's one of the best racing managers I've ever known in my independent career or racing career. I mean, I had some run-ins with him. Well, it was always really got on my goat. Somebody was always top of the stats at Notts. You know, they were always 3 times more liable to get a drop or stay in the same grade, and you can't compete on that. And that used to really get my goat. But other than that, I used to think he was the best racing man I've ever known. And when you hear of, you know, James Chalkley Toaster, good lad. Romford trying to staff him for the money what was involved to try and get him to go over to Romford, it was like phenomenal. And I just think to myself, well, is that what money there is in there for racing managers now? If so, that's good. But if not, don't just do it for one. If you can pay it for one, pay it for everybody else, because that's what you should be doing. So I just hope racing officers are paid as well as what kennel and trainers are now, and the rest of the kennel staff as well, because it's a big job, and you know, they should all be getting the money what they're getting now.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've just been looking at some other stuff that will hopefully come out in an article in the not too distant future about horse racing and some of the problems that they've got, and the fact that they've had so many races with reduced numbers of runners, the fact that they are cutting back. It's only a small number of cutback meetings, but they're cutting back on their midweek meetings. Greyhound racing is going to be at least as important to the betting industry in the next couple of years as it is at the moment. And I think that will escalate, because at the end of the day, horse racing is a very expensive operation.
The betting industry, Floyd, love greyhound racing. They've always loved greyhound racing, and they'll always carry on loving greyhound racing. And they know, you know, the bookmakers are paying good money towards the sport. Let's not get that wrong. They are paying good money towards it. Other people are making a lot of money out of it. You know, some of these media operators, they're not in it for the good of the health. It's a good business to them, and they're making substantial profits from it. And actually, if just some of them extra bit of profits, what they get was ploughed back into the sport, it wouldn't harm them. And you can tell, I mean, the money what Art must have put into their trainers now, and, you know, it must run into millions. It must run into the millions when I think what a trainer is getting a month now compared to what they were getting last month. And then you times that by other tracks, not just your tracks, your Yarmouth, your Swindon, all the money sort of like gone up a bit. They must have ploughed millions in. So where has that come from? You know, it's come because it was there.
I agree it was there, but I mean, this is a conversation I had with your Mark, Comrade Pierpont, and you know, yes, you're right. Yes, the money was there. At the end of the day, they are businesses. You know, if they didn't need to pay it, why would they pay it? And you and I have had discussions in the past. The only time that the trainers were really going to get well paid was when they were in enough demand, and you're now in enough demand, and I can't see that changing. I can't see that going backwards. I really, you know, looking ahead.
No, and that's why I reiterate now. You know, these contracts, what people are signed. If you sign another one the following day, give you a notice in. You're not saying you're leaving. That's the biggest thing. What people have never realised in their head. They're thinking, well, if they give the notice in, they're leaving. Well, they're leaving. They're not. All they're doing is they're getting themselves out of that contract. And you don't want to be tied into a contract. You want to put yourself in a position that you can then renegotiate. Even if you don't want to go, you don't tell people you don't want to go. You go on that table, you sit down at any deal. If you're going to buy a new car, you don't tell them how much you want. You don't tell them, oh, I definitely want this car, whatever price you're going to give me. You go in there and negotiate. That's what you do in this walk of life as well. You go and negotiate and do the best deal for yourselves. I mean, I'd love to do a deal for all the trainers, but it's never going to happen. You know, in this sport, nobody's ever stuck together and dealt one for all. So, you know, go and do your deal for yourselves and do the best job you can for yourselves.